Independent grind powered by Tech Nine.
Cool. So yeah, I guess just getting right into it. We're here with HUNTR. How are you guys doing today?
Good, man. Good. Feeling great.
Good. Now, where are you guys based out of?
Los Angeles, California. But we're kind of pretty much, all over.
Yeah, I was gonna ask where sort of each of you are from.
Well, this is Gilbert. So I'm from Philly, and I've been in LA for a couple of years now. And yeah.
This is Nick. I'm from Boston, Mass. originally, and I moved out to LA about 4.5 years ago. So East Coast.
Yeah, and this is Boris. I moved to the United States 2 years ago from Kazakhstan, and my hometown is Karaganda. Yeah.
That's a little farther than Philly or Boston, huh?
Yeah, a little bit colder too.
Yeah, for real. A little bit, yeah. Real.
Boris, I mean that's super interesting. I don't think we're how'd you decide to make over here and get over here and get into music over here?
I just got the opportunity to move to the United States, and I decided I'm super passionate about music, and I decided to move straight to heart of industry and be in Los Angeles. And Gilbert found me. And now I'm blessed to be in this band. Yeah.
Gilbert, how'd you find him? Because that's like a crazy.
Oh man! So when I came into LA. I was on the East Coast for a few months, and I got back into LA in 2015, and I was like, man, I got to put this band together. What is it going to, I have to find the right guys to bring this to life. And, I went through the simple thing of even going to Craigslist to try to find people who had pages and stuff set up and, looking for session players and all that sort of thing. But I came across this website called bandmix.com, and there was a lot of guys on there who were all session players. And, I happened to come across Boris's profile, and I was just listening to a couple jams and stuff that he had done with his prior band. And, and he said he lived in LA. So I just reached out, and, the rest is history.
What impressed you most about his music?
I think the sonics and just the choice of stuff that he was making with his prior band before coming to the States. There was just this strong, ethereal emotion in the music that, I knew that he was able to translate and speak well with, and bringing that into the mix of helping the sound that HUNTR's created to life. I just felt like that was a very integral part of something that I wanted to explore.
So is the band sort of your brainchild, or was it something you said you went out to sort of form this band? Was that so it sort of came from your idea?
Yeah. So back in about 2000, probably the end of 2014, I was in Philly, and I had got back to Philly, and I was in the studio, and I was working on some new songs, with former production partner Rock, and the records that we were making kind of sounded pretty big. And, I took a moment and I felt like, man, these songs are bigger than me. And I'm like, how are these songs going to come to life on stage? How are these songs, going to translate, bigger than anything that I've ever done? And so at that point I felt like, you know what, I want to put a band together. I want to bring this to fruition. And, and again, 2015 is where I found Boris and I found Nick, and, we formed the squad. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick, how'd you get involved with the group?
That's a kind of a funny story. So I was doing session work in LA for a while, kind of in between different bands. I went to school in Boston for drums, and I graduated coming out to LA thinking, I'll just jump on a bunch of different sessions, and that's kind of all I really wanted to do. So I had a couple ads out there. I think one was in Craigslist and another in a couple other places that you can put things up. And I got a call from my mom, and she checks my emails.
Hell of a manager.
She was like my manager back. Yeah, exactly. Embarrassing, but whatever.
Literally your day one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So she's like, "Yo, you got this email from this Gilbert guy. He seems pretty legit." I'm like, "What? You should already checked him out and checked out his music." And I was like, all right, whatever. LA people all the time. So I just kind of put it to the side, and I went home for 2 weeks. And then I came back to LA after that, just for vacation. And I had a message, an email, and then a DM, which at the time I was like, what the heck's a DM? Which is super funny. And so I checked my phone. I'm like, I didn't know you could send messages on Instagram. So I checked it out, and it was Gilbert again. I was like, this guy's pretty adamant. So I was like, all right, I'll reach out. And I said, hey, and he's like, hey, let's meet up at this local coffee shop. So I went down to meet him on Sunset, and he sat down, and he instantly, his personality was super cool, easy to get along with, but like the music was like exactly what I was looking for. It was really funny. It's like I had this vision of what I wanted to potentially do as a drummer and as a production guy, and overall sonics of the band. It was like he nailed everything the way he described it. I know our music's pretty eclectic, so it's tough to describe, but for what I took from it, it was like cinematic hip hop rock, which is like everything that I'm kind of influenced by, from John Williams to Hans Zimmer to, like Led Zeppelin to Kanye West to, anything. So it was kind of like all that in one, and that's like something I always wanted to do as a kid, but I never thought was really possible or acceptable.
Yeah, I felt the same, absolutely the same way. We met at the same cafe as Gilbert.
It was kind of the go-to spot. I was like, hey, let's do it.
Gilbert, did you have to sell him on your old music at all?
No, it was interesting because, I didn't even play them any of the older stuff. I showed them a few of the new record demos that I had, and that was kind of like, that was going to be the calling card. I was like, if these guys like what this stuff sounds like, I was like, man, this is it. You know what I mean?
For you, it is so different from your old music. So I'm curious sort of what inspired you to go that different route and create something like really brand new and eclectic and different.
I think after I put the Prey project out in 2013, it was a very well received project, and for me, I was definitely dealing with some stuff internally, and I was like, you know what, I think I want to take a little break from music and just kind of regroup. And within that year, I took some time to myself, and the first couple ideas that came to mind, because I had stuff just brewing in my mind, like music's in my heart. So even though I was trying to avoid the studio, it was still in me to come up with some ideas. And, I just felt like I wanted to create something bigger than myself. There's completely nothing wrong with being like a solo artist, but I think like at that point in my life, I was like, you know what? It's about me, but it's not about me. And I want to create something that's challenging, other than what I've already done in my past. But I wanted to do something that was going to, for me to try to break through a fear of creating a new sound. And so, and that's where it came about,
I think this is like one of the most acceptable times to take a risk like that. Like you see all this, it gets classified as rap, but it may not necessarily have that rap sound of lyrics and all that. So I think the music that you guys are making is very dope. It said that you signed to Epic for your album Prey. Was that just a one album sign, or how did they take the whole band thing?
Oh, no. This was, so when I had signed with Epic, that was around the time when we put Prey out, and that was something completely before even HUNTR came to life. So they didn't even have any idea about HUNTR. I didn't even know anything about HUNTR. I wasn't in that headspace to even want to do something like that. And I think, dealing with the relationship that I had with that company and like where I was in my life after that project, I was like, you know what? This is one of the reasons why I wanted to step away and take some time off. And I was able to get out of my deal, because it just wasn't turning out the way that I wanted to, which is super blessing. And then that's why I took time off. And, and then when I got back into the music, the first thing I started to create was something that felt bigger than Prey. It felt bigger than anything I've ever made. So,
Yeah. As sort of like a frontman of this band, like, or the, MC, how is it different? I guess it's like, is it harder rapping over these kinds of productions, or what's your approach when you have these huge, you say it's like bigger than you, what's that like for you as the rapper to completely change and rap over something crazy like that?
I mean, it's the challenge, it's the challenge. It's transitioning into more of I would say this, incorporating more of an alternative rock sound and elements into the music. It just brings a different aggression, a different tension to the music. And, I'm learning about all these different time signatures and ways to different pattern the flow. And so I love that stuff, and again, this entire thing was an opportunity for me to challenge myself creatively. So, when I'm in the studio working on these records with Boris and Nick, it's like, man, this is so massive. But what I'm excited about is how I'm going to be able to place my flow within the rhythm of these drums, or within the pocket of, not even rapping over drums, because there's another instrument that's going on. And so I always love that stuff in my music for a long time. So it's just, dude, it just excites me to try something different.
What is your guys' creative process like with three of you having input? How does a song come to life? Do you come with a beat first? Do you come with an idea? What's the creation process?
I think I don't know. It kind of happens differently every time. Sometimes there'll be a demo that one of us will, drop in, and it'll be like 40% done, and there'll be a solid idea there, and we'll just take it from there. Like, we'll all have our input and try to figure out a way to make it so we all think it's good. Sometimes it'll come out of a jam session, which is kind of cool. We'll all get on our respective instruments, or sometimes switch, and try some things, and then record it, listen back, and kind of just try to analyze some parts we like and build around that. There's no real right way for us to write. We kind of just get inspired at random times by either something we're watching, something we're hearing, or someone will pick up something and be like, yo, that's it. Let's build something around that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's even times where, during the day, one of us might Shazam something that we hear, and we're so excited to be like, yo, did you hear this? Check this out. And, those type of ideas, can inspire thoughts too, to create records.
Mm-hmm. Boris, what's it like for you I understand you mix and master the material. What's that like for you? And then, for the other guys, what's it how different is it when he's done putting his hand on it?
How different?
Or what's it like for you to mix and master this crazy, eclectic sounds? Is it challenging for you?
Of course, it's always challenging, because I'm pretty sure that any of us never tried to do any music sound like HUNTR, but I'm enjoying the process, because we actually in the studio we're not separating duties. Yes. So Gilbert, if necessary, Nick can sing.
Yeah, barely.
Yeah. Gilbert can play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can play tambourine if needed. So there's no rules, and the fact that there's no rules makes the process much easier for me, because I know that we can support each other. And even in the studio, when I'm working on mixing and mastering, I'm showing how it sounds to guys, and they know the fact that we worked on all sounds together. Each of us have a vision how it's supposed to sound, and it's pretty easy for us to do everything in house because we have that vision. I'm pretty sure that's actually easier for us to do it in house than inviting someone else, because we don't have to explain our vision to anyone. Yeah.
And for Gilbert and Nick, I'm curious, do you guys have a hand in the mixing and mastering, or is you just kind of let Boris do his thing? And if you do, how I guess, is it surprising to hear the different hear the finished product? Because I'm always so interested in engineering. I don't really know anything about the technical aspects, but I feel like an engineer, when they're doing their job, you don't know it, but when they don't do their job, you kind of know it. So I'm just curious if hearing the mix, the roughs, and then are very different from the mastered for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, that process is fun because, again, because we're from all different areas of the world practically, it's very interesting to see Boris' take on, the mix and the mashing of certain sounds and the record. So, Nick and I are usually, in the room as it happens. So if he's going through different filters and different plugins and all this crazy stuff, we chime in for things that we like, things that we don't like, or one of us may say, hey, let's run this sound through tape. How's it going to sound? Let's go retrack something with some weird fucking toaster or whatever, and put a reverb on it so it blends with the snare. So it's literally an open floor. And but it's exciting to learn the engineering aspect, you know, from my position, just because it's the technical side that I've always watched over the shoulder of an engineer as they, you know, are mixing stuff down. So to be, you know, in the room and understand the process, it's actually really cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I have this term I like, you know, to say when we're in the studio, I can't wait until it gets glorified. Because like I'll hear a demo and I'll be like, like I don't know, maybe wait, let me wait until Boris gets his hands on it and glorifies until I make a call, because he knows his way around the kitchen pretty well.
Yeah.
So we're pretty blessed to have him not only as a member but like a very educated engineer and master. So
Yeah, he's a wizard.
He definitely knows his way around the kitchen really well. So it makes our jobs easier. I mean, everyone's jobs easier, just knowing that the project at the end of the day is going to be in his hands, especially since he's already involved and he has a direction of where, you know, HUNTR, we all do, where it's supposed to be. So it makes it a lot easier to have that be not only a member, but always someone who knows what they're doing.
And I think it's something special about in the process of like making the record. You know, Boris is such a wizard that he already knows how he wants to mix in certain sounds. You know, he's already thinking about the end goal as we're even coming up with ideas. And I think that's amazing. And so, you know, it just reinforces, you know, to Nick and I, you know, just the confidence in what we're doing and the things that we're creating and the sounds that we like. And, you know, just as a group, it just makes the process just streamlined.
Yeah, we don't really have to even discuss how it's supposed to sound, because while we're working on demo and all these sounds, when I hear it, I know how it's supposed to sound, and I know that guys hear it the same way as I hear. So when it comes to mastering and mixing, I just do it on my own, play it for guys, and it sounds like it's supposed to sound.
Yeah, no surprises.
No surprises. And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I've always heard that the best mix engineer is the one that can, like, he already knows what he's going to do to the vocals, to whatever sounds coming out. Like, those are the best mix engineers. How long did it take you guys to, like, establish a relationship to where it was, like, comfortable and you guys were getting work done? Like, are you guys just straight into the studio at first, or do you hang out first? Like, how does that work?
So funny story, when I met both of these guys, I never saw them physically pick up an instrument. I watched the YouTube video.
Scary.
Yeah, exactly. It was just I felt something from the conversation that we had, and I was like, okay, I know these guys know their shit, and I know that they're, you know, super passionate about what they do, and I know that once we get in the room, the magic happens. So for a good maybe 4 or 5 months, we were just hanging out and didn't even make any music, because it was important for me and important for all of us to naturally come together and become friends outside of the creative space. So once we got into the room, we can be able to trust each other and, you know, and know each other like the back of our hand. And I think what's been a beauty is just learning each other's process, you know, creating music, because we come from different backgrounds. Nick's played in a bunch of bands. Boris, same for me, being, you know, solo artist, doing so much hip hop stuff. And, you know, so it's interesting to see, like, hey, I have to, you know, allow them to see my recording process, you know, whatever that may be. And, you know, Nick has a certain way that he cuts his drums. There's a certain way he wants his stuff mixed. Boris is a certain way of setting things up, and these guys can elaborate on that. And I just think that was exciting more so than a scary moment, because it's like, shit, you know, if we're gonna bring this to life and it's gonna be real, then we got to be fucking patient and get to know each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because like Barry said, we all hung out a bunch. And I think the first time I met Boris, he didn't say a word. We were at a bar, and he was sitting like maybe two feet away from me. And he, like, after our little like hangout, it was in his defense, it was loud, but we were just hanging out, getting to know each other, feel each other out. And Boris had to leave early. I think I said to Gilbert, like, man, I don't know about this guy. He didn't say anything to me. And then I realized that English is like his second language. He's only been in the United States for like maybe 3 months or 4 months. Like, I don't blame the guy. Yeah. And I talk my ass off in the van, so I don't let anybody else talk, unfortunately. So he probably couldn't get a word in over me speaking. But I will say this, like Barry was saying, you know, we spent time to hang out. And the first time that any of us got in a room together to play, was a week before South by Southwest.
Crazy.
And we had to learn and kind of get to know each other in a week before we had to go play South by. And that was like 6 days, every single day in the room for 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours a day, really getting to know each other on a musical level. And to me, it's the golden era, even though it's not that long ago. But those are the great experience to finally get to truly know each other.
Yes, it's 6 days before fucking South by, and first time we ever been in a room, and we're rehearsing songs.
Yeah,
and we, and it manifested. We just meshed together so well, and it's crazy to think about it, but yeah, it really came together.
Go ahead.
Was there a moment, or like in those early sessions, or maybe like one of the songs you guys have released that sort of it all clicked, and you said like, okay, we have something here? Was there a specific song or a specific session that comes to mind?
For me, I was doing drums on Sundown, I think, and like that was a moment for me that I think, I don't know, the reaction they got out of my performance, and just the energy in the studio was just like, it felt great, obviously, because they were happy with what was happening, but for me, it was kind of like a very self-fulfilling moment where I was like, I'm actually not only enjoying the music that I'm playing, but like I'm around guys who also support and enjoy the music. Being a session guy in LA, it's pretty cold. You go into a room, you get paid hourly, and then you never see these people again. Or maybe you do, but it's just, there's no real relationship. It's, like strictly business, which is fine too. But this was something that was like, I like the music, I like the guys, and I'm getting to do and express myself in a way that feels naturally in the music, but also like feels naturally for me. And that was like, I think, a moment for me that I could say that I felt like this is something special.
You guys, it says on your website that you guys have HUNTR Studios. Is that like your own little personal studio?
Yeah. We've got our own studio in Hollywood where we do all the music and, Boris glorifies the mastering and engineering. All in-house too. Yeah. The back cave.
You guys even do like all of your own creative direction, your art and everything. It's cool to see that it's like, everything is literally done by you guys. And I actually wanted to touch on sort of the art, or I guess maybe art/creative, is I love those sort of like chapters you put out leading up to a release, like the, like chapter 1, chapter 2. Can you talk about the idea for that, the vision, sort of how you guys came up with that?
Yeah. So a lot of our music it has some pretty complex moments and many dynamics. And, one way we wanted to kind of showcase that a little more in our songs was to visually create these chapters where we're soloing out certain instruments in the song. And we're allowing that to be, the backdrop, the score of the emotion of what these chapters are. So with these 6 chapters that came out for Live a Lie, it was like, here's 6 different perspectives that you can take from this record, and 2, we kind of felt like music videos are cool, but there's something more engaging about allowing the imagination of the listener to kind of take its toll. And if we're giving you 6 different trailers, your mind can go in 6 different ways of how you can feel this record. And we just kind of wanted to leave that up to the fans and up to the people.
Yeah, leading up to Live a Lie, I was actually going to ask you about that next. You released last month, I guess, it's already September. Can you tell me a little bit about that song, sort of the development of it, how you guys came up with it?
It was one of those situations where I had a pretty stripped down demo, and I was like, I don't know, this thing's pretty hard, and I brought it to the guys, and they liked it, and they were like, let's run with this. But the cool thing was it started off pretty simple, and it developed so much more than I pictured it developing. I had, an idea when I wrote the demo, like what this could be. And then I think the great thing about this band is that everyone in this band could, definitely be a writer on their own. Everyone can, pretty much play and do everything. But it doesn't, no songs really become HUNTR until we all kind of get our hands on it. So we looked at the demo, we took it apart, dissected it, and then each one of us added something to make it what it is. And I think that's what's so great about this band. But it definitely evolved into something that I definitely didn't see, but I'm pretty pumped on the outcome.
How many versions of this track was it?
47 versions.
So 47 versions of this track.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could release a different track every single day of the month.
I know, we could have. Yeah. I think we got to the point where Logic was about to explode because it did not allow us to add any more sounds. So I think that's when me and Boris and Joubert looked at each other and said, okay, I think we're done with this. We should just finalize it and then move on. Yeah.
How do you even keep track of 47 different versions of the same song? That's crazy.
I don't know. I try to forget the version before the last one just to start over, to be honest with you, because after the 13th version, I'm like, I don't even know what the song is anymore.
Meanwhile, Boris is going to blow his brains out.
Yes. He keeps looking at me like, no, let's just add like 6 more contact tracks. I trust him. He's like, dude, you're killing me. Our CPU is going out the drain. You know?
Yeah.
It's definitely an interesting situation every time we start, but it's always, like I said, no songs really become HUNTR until everyone kind of has their input on them. You know what I mean? That's what's so great because we all have so many different backgrounds, and I think the music sounds like us because it's a true represent. It represents who we are as individuals as well.
Yeah, I was scrolling your guys' Twitter when I sort of came across you guys, and I thought it was really a perfect like summation of what you guys do, and it was the Jimmy Iovine clip from his from that interview he did with like Pharrell, and he talked about doing the different and doing the bold and doing like going crazy with it and something completely out of the box. And I was wondering, like, is that what you guys feel like you're trying to do, or what's your core vision or your core principles that you guys sort of create by?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's pretty much our focus. Anytime we step into this room, it's like there's no format, there's no arrangement. What are we going to do with these sounds? What are we going to do to activate, a different emotion in the listener? Like, are they going to hear something, once the record comes on? Or is it going to be something in the verse? Is it going to be in the bridge? Is it going to be in the hook? Is it going to be a crazy outro? And how weird are we going to get with the textures in this music? Because there's a lot of trendy stuff that's been going on for a very long time in music, as we all know. And, that's always the thing that we hold up to steer away from creatively. And I think just putting our minds together without the idea of limitations, it just allows us to be able to create these records the way we do. And they come out the way they do, and that's what it is.
Me personally, I just like HUNTR and just doing music that I would love to listen to every day by myself. That's what I'm doing. You can imagine how many times I heard this song before it, even like after having 47 versions of it. So I can count basically how many times I heard it. But I still enjoy to listen to it. And that makes a lot for me. It kind of explains what I'm doing in the band.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I'll just say, I think I said it earlier, but we're all so different. We're all, from different parts of the world. So it's kind of like sometimes we go into this with a new idea, trying to be like what hasn't been done. But, a lot of the times we just come in here playing what we want to hear. And the outcome is HUNTR because we're all so different. Having some heavy drums, maybe with a metal background, with some rapping, and then some European influence is going to produce something that you probably never heard of before. So it's not like we're doing this on purpose. It's what sometimes it comes naturally.
Yeah.
Joubert, do you think you're having more fun with music now?
Fuck yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Hip hop is always the strongest core foundation of what I do. But, from my doings in music from prior mixtapes since 87 Dreams in the beginning, I was always exploring different sounds and textures and figuring out how can I blend this genre with this genre before, that became the thing. And so now getting with these musicians, because I always worked with one producer, and, a lot of the stuff we were sampling, some stuff that we were just programming. And so when I get around musicians like Nick and Boris, it's like, man, okay, these guys are either self-taught or they went to school for it. And I just came from the school of hip hop. So I want to know what their take is on hip hop music. They want to know what my take is on the music that they come from. And so we just put our influences together, and that excites me because I'm like, okay, I can now learn of why they fell in love with music and how they hear music, because I want to know how it stimulates them, you know, and to learn that, and then to also, like, again, learn all these different time signatures from just drum patterns, and like just learning so much new stuff. I felt like just a whole new burst of life had landed on me for my love for music, because I'm able to learn and explore more, and I have, you know, musicians at my disposal to learn from. So, you know, I'm just a kid in the class right now, and I'm just ready to go.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, just closing things out. You guys have anything you're working on or planning on releasing soon that you're excited for?
Yeah, we've got some new records coming, and we're actually working on a brand new project that's probably going to be coming out roughly in a couple months, and and just getting ready to start playing some more shows, and you know, prepping for the festivals next year.
This is the genius, Chris Calico.
Cali, baby.
Letting you know you're tuned into Tech Nine's Independent Grind on Dash Radio.